Are you thinking of designing your own house or maybe working with an architect or residential designer? If so, you'll be exploring options on how to bring out the character of your home through the choice of materials and also practical options such as how to handle the garage. This is what we'll be looking at in this video. Good morning, friends. This is Tony from Historic American Homes. I wanted to share with you a couple of thoughts about design options when you're working on a design for your own house. I have this plan that I developed a few years ago. I wanted to develop some different design options in terms of exterior finish treatments, exterior finish materials, and also when I made the original plan, it had no garage. So I wanted to devise a couple of variations that included both a front-facing and a side-facing garage. So that's what we're going to take a look at. This was the original design as I first made it. It's basically a two-story house, but the entire second floor is tucked under that roof. And a simple palette of materials, stucco walls, a sandstone treatment around the foundation, a broad bay window across the front, a broad bow window across the front. This was inspired by a couple of architects, British arts and crafts architects, Herbert Buckland and C.F.A. Voysey, V-O-Y-S-E-Y is how his last name is spelled. Two very influential architects at the time who've had a lasting influence in that part of the world. This is one of Buckland's houses. You can see the red roof, the strong gable, the symmetry, a kind of ground-hugging heaviness, weightiness to the mass. This is a very famous house by Voysey. Again, you see that prominent gable. This is contemporary, or maybe a generation later, in the UK. Builders all over the country took up the ideas from the arts and crafts movement and incorporated it into the simplest of homes. You can see already the resemblance of this one to the design that I developed. Now these next few examples are from Germany, and they were also very much influenced by the British arts and crafts movement and the work of Voysey and Buckland. This is later, this is probably a 1950s house, so we're talking about two generations later, but that influence hung on. Here's another contemporary with Voysey. Some beautiful details here, same type of forms, simple, solid, weighted forms. And another example, a little more decorative, but still the same kind of massing. And then I saw this cute little detail of a two-sided bay window. This is something that shows up in some of the arts and crafts buildings in the UK as well as in the mainland of Europe. I liked that, and I incorporated a two-sided bay into one of the versions of the design we're going to look at. Finally, I wanted to share a picture of an arts and crafts house. Let me increase the size of this here. When the influence of the British arts and crafts came over to the United States, it was an interesting development because the United States was in the full-blown height of high Victorian with lots and lots of ornament. So the result was that the kinds of massings you saw on the Victorian houses were kept, but everything was simplified. There was a return to more natural materials, thus the shingles that are not painted. And also we began to see some of the colonial revival elements return. So instead of the really elaborate scroll sawn porches of the Victorian times, we got a simpler, much simpler colonial approach to doing the porch. So the American arts and crafts movement fused these British influences with the neo-colonial that was also growing in popularity. And here again, it was the original first pass of my design. Now let's move on and look at some of the different options we can develop from this base plan. Here I've taken the base model and I made one change to it in terms of the exterior material palette. I've substituted flat clay shingle on the roof. This was a material that was very popular with Voysey and Buckland. I've kept the stucco, the sandstone base, the simple segmental arches. And on the right, I've added a front-facing garage. I gave the garage doors the same or a similar segmental arch that we see at the porch. And as you'll see in the plan in a moment, that garage is connected with a little link into the back corner of the house. So that would be one palette of materials and one way to orient the garage. Here's another palette. This is based on the shingle style. So I'm using a cedar shingle roof. I've got some shingle elements on the elevations. Siding that need not be painted. It could be left to weather to its natural color. The bay window across the front is now an angled bay, and I've used wood trim elements around the angle, and I've replaced the sandstone with a more of a granite or limestone base. It depends on where you would be building this, what choice of stone you'd use. But we've used a different limestone around the base and on the chimney. And then the garage to the right here is a side-facing garage. So you'd come around and pull in, and then you could back out and turn towards the street. And again, it's linked to the house at the back corner. And finally, here's our original design with no garage, but using yet another palette. So this is the third palette of materials. Here we're using brick as the base, brick around the square bay, brick on the chimney, and then a half timber treatment to the porch and the elevation, and a slate roof. So this palette of materials I find works very nicely together as well. Here's a look at the ground floor. The original plan with a small change without a garage. So we have the entrance via a porch on the right. Come in the front door into a small lobby space. The living room is ahead of you. In this case, I've shown the living room with a square bay. And then beyond the living room is another porch, on the private side of the house. Coming in the entrance and going to the right, you have a kitchen and dining area. There's a staircase, a powder room, and a master bedroom suite on the ground floor. I've given the staircase, well, we'll see that here. I've given the staircase a square bay that projects out, and you'd actually have enough space to put a little easy chair and drink your cup of tea in the morning looking out over the garden. This is a very tall window that would bring a lot of light into the center of the house, both upstairs and downstairs. When you reach the top of the stairs, there's a large landing area, large enough to be a bedroom, and that's going to be an option we'll look at, but I've treated it here as an open area that could serve as a play space or a study. Opposite side of the staircase, there's a bathroom and laundry area, and then two large bedrooms facing the front. In addition, under the low parts of the roof, we've got a bit of attic storage. So that was the base plan. And then we added a front-facing garage. So here's the ground floor again. And what I've done is I've created a kind of garden room off the kitchen that links to the garage. And the garage is front-facing here. Now, a lot of people prefer to have, or I should say a lot of people don't care for a front-facing garage. There are reasons for that, but there are also reasons why one might use a front-facing garage. For a start, if your building lot is narrower, you may not have the option to come into the garage from the side and have enough space to turn around and come back out. That can take up a considerable amount of room. One of the advantages of a front-facing garage is that it also reduces the amount of paved driveway that you need, and generally more paving means more expense, but it also means more stress on the environment. We would like to not pave as large of an area if we can. So there are some reasons for why front-facing garages might be used, and in that case it's nice to have the option. What I've done here is I've pushed it as far back as was practical in order to keep it from like looming over the front of the house. So that's our front-facing garage option. We see this version with a bow window facing the street at the living room down at the bottom of the screen. And I've used the two-sided bay at the stair landing. Also, I did not show a powder room on this ground floor. It could easily be eliminated if a person felt it wasn't necessary, and the space could be given over to more storage. Here's the side-facing garage. Again, the garage is linked to the house in the corner with this garden room. Would be a very pleasant, bright space in the mornings where you could sit and drink your tea and look out into the garden, or you could have a couple of easy chairs or a sofa. And the garage is at the back with entrance via the side and then a space to turn around. You can see that it requires a considerable amount of space to provide turning radius for cars that are going to be backing out of a garage. And at the bottom of the screen we see the angled bay window. Now you could do a lot of mix and match. You could mix one palette of exterior finishes with any of these floor plans. So these are not, the sum total. Upstairs I've shown an option where that large landing area at the top of the stairs is enclosed to make an additional small bedroom. Let's take a brief look at these in 3D in these three little videos. For those of you who would like to see a little bit of the inside, I leave you with a few more slides. Have a wonderful day.